Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about giving. Am I giving too much or am I giving too little? Sometimes I feel like it's a constant battle within myself. Giving is very important to me. It's one of the core things I always include in my budget, and I'm always shouting out loud about it. I mean, if you watch all my videos, I'm always saying one of the things you must do if you want to master your money is giving. But actually, I've also learned that giving, if not guarded properly, it can be abused, especially if you know it comes naturally to you. I mean, for some of us, it comes more natural than others. And it's okay if it doesn't even come natural to you. It's okay to, I'm not here to judge anyone. Whilst I was having this conversation in the last week with some friends and family, I started to actually remember some of the things, some of the key moments in my life. And I remembered once upon a time when I worked in Paddington. On a Friday evening, I was walking to the train station and this young man approached me and he started telling me about the story of his life. And he was telling me he's from South Africa. He came to the UK in search of a better life. He had some family and he was hoping to stay with them till he got on his 2 feet when he could afford to rent a place. Unfortunately for him though, when he got to the UK, the family members he supposedly had weren't as responsive. And after a few days, they told him he couldn't stay with them, he had to move out. Obviously, he didn't have anywhere to go. He was homeless, so he had to start staying in hostels. So I asked him, so what are you doing in Paddington for the day? So he said to me, I'm just walking around trying to get a job. Whatever job it is, sweeping, cleaning, wiping tables, anything I can get. All he needed that day from me was he needed money to get on the train just to get back to his hostel, and also he hadn't eaten anything for the day. I felt so bad and I was so touched. I felt so bad for him. I went to the cash point, I took out some money and I gave it to him. It was something that it really weighed on me that day. I just felt so sorry for him. A few weeks later, I was catching up with a friend over emails. How was your evening? Great. And she turned around and she told me, Ope, you won't believe what happened to me yesterday evening. I was at Euston Station and I had this guy walk up to me and he told me, I'm from South Africa, I came to the UK for a better life and this is my story. It just happened. It was exactly the same story I'd been told 2 weeks earlier in Paddington Station. Uh-oh. The alarm bells were ringing and I realized I had been scammed. So also had my friend, because she actually went and gave him the last £20 that she had on her that day. I've come to realize there are 2 categories of givers. You either fall into the category of an emotional giver or a logical giver. An emotional giver tends to be moved by emotions to give. You probably hear a very compelling story. You bring out your tissue, very touching. You put your hands in your pocket and you give. If you're a logical giver, you tend to be a lot more methodical. You think through the stories properly. You probably want to find the holes in the story. It just has to make sense to you before you can put your hands in your pocket and give. I found as well, emotional givers tend to be more spontaneous about giving. These are the people who need to really guard their giving. If you tend to be driven by emotions, which I know I have the tendency to be, a lot of times you can give to your own detriment. What do I mean by that? When I do my budget every month, I have a certain amount that I plan to give. I know sometimes I hear some really moving stories and it really makes me want to dip into other pots in my budget. But over the years, I've actually had to learn to be a lot more disciplined around it. Now, there is no better of the two. Being an emotional giver or a logical giver isn't better than the other. The most important thing is we find the middle ground. As a logical giver tends to be a lot more planned around the giving. If giving is say 5% or 10% of their budget, that's it. They're probably not going to give anything above and beyond that. But actually, sometimes we need to adopt the emotions as well. Giving isn't always logical. You get a chance to change somebody's life and it could just mean making 1 or 2 sacrifices here. Let me leave you with another story. I remembered in 2013, I went for an event. And during the event, they happened to actually call for a collection. I was so touched by what they were telling us about what they wanted to use the money for. that I actually gave $25 that day. It seemed a bit much at the time in 2013. I mean, $25 is a lot to give on the spot. It wasn't planned, it wasn't in my budget, it was just money I had in my hand as spending money. I gave the money and it was okay, and I moved on with things. I kid you not, on the same day, someone came to me and gave me $250. I'm not going to say what it was for, but I kid you not. For me, I've come to realize that when you give, you always get back. Now, I won't say that happens to me all the time. In fact, that is probably one of the 3 times in my life where I've given, and within the same period of time or a very short window, I've probably had the same amount back or in multiples. It's probably only 3 times it's ever happened. It's never been planned. I've never given in anticipation of getting something back or trying to do some sort of multiplication in my head. No, that is not what I'm saying. But I've found giving is rewarding in many ways. What I'm trying to say is, whilst you can be an emotional giver, it's always useful to balance it with logic. Whilst you're a logical giver, it's always useful to balance it with emotions as well. The key thing is, you can't always be giving at your own detriment, because it means you are not giving generously. Actually, what you're doing is you are mismanaging your money. Hope you found this video useful. If you have, hit the subscribe button and remember to share.